They never thought anyone would find out. Asterisk, it was a dare stupid, cruel, and meant to be funny. But when Kayla lifted the dog bowl to her lips, her hands trembling so badly the kibble nearly spilled, none of them were laughing. They were holding their breath, pressing their phones into their palms to film her humiliation, hoping she would finally break and cry. Asterisk, because that's what she always did. Kayla Hartley, the shy girl with hair that hung in her face like a curtain. Kayla, who never raised her voice, never fought back, never defended herself, no matter how many times the girls in her class called her a freak or a loser. Asterisk, only that day was different. Asterisk, they didn't know her father was the police chief. Asterisk, they didn't know he was watching the video in an evidence room an hour later, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might crack. Asterisk, but before any of that happened, before justice had a chance to arrive, Kayla stood in the center of the tiled garage floor, staring down at the chipped blue dog bowl. Asterisk, she could hear them, behind her Whitney, Jasmine, and Marcy whispering about how she was too pathetic to stand up for herself. Asterisk, do it, Whitney hissed, shoving her phone closer. You want to be part of our group, right? You said so yourself. Eat it or you'll stay the weird little mouse nobody likes. Asterisk, Kayla's throat closed. The dry smell of kibble made her stomach twist. Part of her wanted to run, to sprint through the side door and never look back. But something inside her, a quiet, desperate hope, still believed that if she did what they asked, they might finally leave her alone. Asterisk, she bent her knees, picked up the bowl, and brought it toward her mouth. Whitney's phone started recording. Look at her, Jasmine laughed. She's really doing it. What a freak. Asterisk, the words crashed over Kayla like cold water. Her eyes blurred with tears she refused to let fall. She thought of all the times she'd tried to explain to her dad why we hated going to school, why she never wanted to talk about her day. She thought of how he'd always looked at her like he knew there was something she wasn't saying. Asterisk, but the last thing she ever wanted was to disappoint him. Asterisk, so she closed her eyes, and she took a bite. Asterisk, the gritty crunch filled her mouth, a dry, dusty taste that made her gag. A wet sob escaped her lips, but she swallowed anyway. Asterisk, Whitney shrieked with laughter, spinning to show Marcy and Jasmine the screen. This is going viral. Everyone is going to see what a pathetic little rat you are. Asterisk, Kayla set the bowl down and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. For a moment she couldn't breathe. She felt hollow, humiliated, like she'd just signed away the last shred of her dignity. Asterisk, go home, Jasmine ordered. Don't say a word, or we'll tell everyone you begged us to let you do it. Asterisk, Kayla walked away without another word. She didn't know that Mrs. Cleary, the neighbor across the street, had been watching from her window. She didn't know that Mrs. Cleary had already called her father. Asterisk, all she knew was that she needed to get out before they saw her cry. Asterisk, when she got home, she ran upstairs, shut her bedroom door, and buried her face in her pillow. She didn't hear the knock at the front door or her father's heavy footsteps on the stairs. She only looked up when she felt his hand on her back. Kayla, he said, voice low and rough. What happened? Asterisk, her eyes burned. It doesn't matter. Asterisk, it does matter. Asterisk, and in the safety of her father's arms, all the tears she'd been holding back came pouring out. She told him everything. How the girls had been picking on her since the start of the year. How they threatened to ruin her reputation if she didn't obey. How she'd thought maybe, just maybe, they'd accept her if she proved she wasn't too good to do something humiliating. Asterisk, her father didn't interrupt. He didn't try to soothe her with empty words. He just listened, his jaw clenched, his hand gripping her shoulder as if to anchor her. Asterisk, when she finished, he exhaled slowly. Asterisk, did they record this? She nodded. Do you know who has the video? Asterisk, Whitney. She said she was going to post it. Asterisk, her father's eyes went dark. She won't. Asterisk, and Kayla, who had never seen her father truly angry, felt something shift inside her. For the first time, she realized she wasn't alone. Asterisk, that night, her father called the school principal and explained what happened. He called Whitney's parents, and when Whitney's father tried to downplay it as just a prank, Chief Hartley's voice cut through the phone like a blade. Asterisk, you listen to me, he said. That video is evidence. You will see to it that your daughter deletes it immediately, or I will press charges for harassment, defamation, and distribution of harmful material. Do you understand me? There was no argument after that. The next morning, Kayla sat in the front office while the girls were called in one by one. She watched them squirm under the principal's gaze as the truth came out. She saw Whitney's face turn red when the principal announced she would be suspended for bullying and that the video had been confiscated. Asterisk, Kayla didn't smile. She didn't gloat, but she felt a weight lift off her shoulders she hadn't realized she'd been carrying. Asterisk, when she returned to class, there were whispers, some sympathetic, some curious, some still cruel, but no one dared to look her in the eye and call her a freak again. The day moved slowly, every minute feeling like an hour. At lunch, Kayla sat alone at the end of the long table, picking at her sandwich. She could feel the eyes on her, but she didn't care anymore. And then something unexpected happened. A quiet voice spoke at her elbow. Asterisk, hey, said Lila, a girl from her art class. She was small and pale, her brown hair tied in a messy bun. Can I sit with you? Asterisk Kayla blinked. Sure. Asterisk Lila slid into the seat across from her. I'm really sorry about what happened. I saw the video before it got taken down. It was awful. Asterisk Kayla's chest tightened. You don't have to say that. Asterisk no, I do, Lila insisted. Because I've been where you are. 2 years ago, Whitney made me steal money from the cafeteria register. She said she'd tell everyone I was a thief if I didn't. And when I did it, she told everyone anyway. Asterisk Kayla's eyes widened. I didn't know. Asterisk most people don't, Lila said, her voice soft. They think it's easier to ignore her than to fight back. But you did fight back. You told the truth. Asterisk Kayla swallowed. For the first time, she realized she hadn't just protected herself. She'd shown everyone that Whitney wasn't invincible. Asterisk, I don't feel brave, she whispered. Asterisk, you are, Lila said. Braver than any of them. They sat in silence for a while, the din of the cafeteria fading around them. When Kayla went home that day, she found her father waiting at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee growing cold in his hands. Asterisk, you okay? He asked. Asterisk, she nodded. Better. Asterisk, he hesitated, studying her face. I want you to know something, he said. You didn't deserve any of what they did to you. None of it. And if you ever feel like you're alone again, you're not. You have me always. Asterisk, Kayla felt her throat close. She set her backpack down and walked into his arms. Asterisk, I know, she said quietly. Asterisk, in the weeks that followed, things changed more than she'd expected. Whitney and her friends were suspended and ordered to attend counseling for bullying. The school started holding assemblies about harassment and respect, and some teachers began paying closer attention. Asterisk, Kayla didn't become popular overnight. She didn't start raising her hand in every class or laughing loudly in the hallways, but she did find herself speaking up more. Asterisk, and little by little, the whispers died down. Asterisk, one afternoon, as she packed her bag to go home, she caught a glimpse of herself in the window, her reflection standing straight. Her shoulders no longer curled in. Asterisk, for the first time, she thought maybe she didn't look so much like a scared little mouse anymore. Asterisk, maybe she looked like someone strong, someone who had survived, someone who refused to stay silent. Asterisk, on the last day of school, Lila brought her a card covered in painted sunflowers. Inside was a note in looping handwriting. Asterisk, thank you for being brave. You showed me I could be, too. Kayla pressed the card to her chest and smiled. They had tried to break her spirit. They'd tried to shame her into silence. Asterisk, but in the end, they'd only taught her how to fight. Asterisk, and though she still had quiet days when the memory of that dog bowl made her stomach twist, she knew she would never be that girl again, the girl who thought she had to earn anyone's respect by hurting herself. Asterisk, because the truth was simple. She was worthy of respect. She was worthy of kindness. Asterisk.